Hello. In most of the cases, you will want your web application to be able to generate reports. So I found this amazing JavaScript library, ExcelJS, which basically is a JavaScript package that works as an Excel spreadsheet and workbooks manager. It can read, manipulate, write spreadsheets, data, and stuff to Excel and JSON. So these are the functionalities that we're able to have: create a workbook, create a worksheet, handling headers and footers and things like that. But for our exercise, we're just going to have minimum functionality in terms of uh, manipulating and generating the reports. What we're going to do is to use an already existing template. So to demonstrate, what I've done is in your application, you need to create a template of your Excel report. So I created this particular template, fields reports. So on your template, you can put whatever you want to put. So I put a logo there. And then here on D2, I said SithasoDaisy5 low code fields report because I want to use this particular report in the low code tool. And then I'm going to put content here on D3. And then I defined my columns that are going to be in this particular report, position, and all sorts of things. So you can make your template to be as beautiful as you want, and then define your columns that you want to indicate. So we're going to be starting to generate our content on row number 7 going for downwards. So the way that this works, if you have a template in your particular application, you can call it from your system. For example, on the table fields, we have export to Excel. So what this does is to read the fields table where we're storing our fields and then use this particular script to generate the report. So we're saying that initialize the reporter. Now we're going to be using sheet 1. So as we know that this is sheet 1 on our Excel spreadsheet, we're going to be utilizing sheet 1. Now the template that we're going to use is going to be on the assets folder, field reports.xln. Remember, it's case sensitive, so we're going to be using that particular thing. Now on D3, which basically is, we're saying that write table name. So it basically means that in this particular area of our report, write particular content. So what we've done here is to set the font here to be 20. And then the output of the report, which basically says that when we generate the report, this is the Excel report that needs to be there with an XSL extension. And then the start row of the report is row number 7, basically saying that we want to start writing content on row number 7. So we're telling our report manager to actually generate a report there. The information that we want to generate on the report will be based on what we read from the database. So you can pass it any JSON content. And then the next step was saying that in this report, these are the columns that we want to process. And in our JSON results, these are the properties that we want to get and what we want to put. So basically meaning that in column A, write the purpose, which is basically when we're defining our table to store the field information, we defined these particular columns. Where, for example, when our application is running, you are able to save information in this. So that's how our information is saved. So from column A to column W, which is basically from column A to column W, which is there. That's where we want to write our content and get the information from these particular fields in this particular list of reports here. So we're saying column A to column W, get the fields from the data set that we put there, and then you'd write and execute. Now the code in execute, what it does is to read that template file which is that XSL, this one here, and then it loads it into memory, and then it gets the worksheet that we said we want to get, which is basically sheet number 1. And then what it does after that is to say if there is information that has been specified. For example, we're saying that write on D3, then write that information, get the cell value, get D3, put the value there. And then here is a border for whatever we're going to write on the rows. Now find the start row, which is basically start row number 7 here. Start there. And then what you do for each of the rows, get the records. Which records are these? These are the records that are specified here. Get the records. And then for each column that has been added here, look through that, find each column. You're going to find that is column A, read the value from the record, and then after that, you write the information. And after that, you add a border. And you go through to the next row, which will be 8, 9, 10 per row, so etc. etc. And then after that, you write the information because it's treated as binary data. Write a buffer, and then you use the file name that you specify here, which is basically this here. And then what you do, create a blob, and then you download the information. So if you run this, because I wanted to simplify this reporting as much as possible so that one doesn't get to write a lot of code. So this is the best version that I could do right now. You open the file template, you create a template, you open it here, and then you start writing information to it. So it basically means that we might not even do this, but you can write like this anywhere that you want to write on your report. Okay, let's run this and see how is it going to. Oh, okay, I need to actually close this because it's opened, because it's in sync. Okay, cool. Let me run this low code, the low code generator tool, so that we see how it is going to work with our report. So the report that we're doing is on the fields screen, you know. So you will also be able to use this in your application. So within the tool itself, you'll be able to define which columns are supposed to be in your report, what's the report template, what's the report name, and things like that. So that at the end of the day, the tool itself builds the schema, like the code that you need here. And then you will have to create your template report so that it runs it and then import it in your project. So we're trying to build something here that will help you to start from the beginning, creating an application, and then be able to also report on the information that will be able to capture on your system, so that it's a complete cycle from data entry, screens, to reporting, completing the cycle. So the other thing that we could add is chatting functionality within the tool, so that at least one is able to generate the charts that they may need to report on. But basically, it also means that in your Excel templates that you have created, you can create your charts there. And then as you feed the information that you want to feed, then your chart will be automatically generated by the information that you feed in your Excel spreadsheet. So there's no limit, because the Excel is basically used for reporting and on business intelligence systems and tools that are there. So which basically means that you can implement your functionality completely in Excel in terms of reporting, and then just feed it information from your system in relation to what we're going to be doing here. So let's wait for the tool to generate the source code, and then we run the source code that is here so that we can see what is going on, and then so that we can see the output of also the report that will be generated here. Because this version, it's not the one that is on the vessel at deployment as yet, you know. So with just a couple of lines here, you'll be able to generate an Excel spreadsheet with all of your information based on what it is that you want. You define your Excel report template, and then you just feed it the content. All right, we'll just be patient a little bit, because what this thing is doing currently is to transpile the source code that is written in B4X, and it's transpiling it to CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. So let's let it open up. Our project is inventory that we've been working on. Okay, now let's take products. So you can see now we have this export to Excel thing. Yeah, so if we click that, it's going to generate the report that we want. Let's open it. There's a product. It's the latest report that we have. So this will help us in documenting our application design, actually. See, so there's the template structure that we defined. So this is D3, we said it should write that. And then in each of the columns, starting from row number 7, write the information up until W there. So we have a document that we have created from our system. And then we can try another purchases. Inventory purchases fields, because we're documenting the fields. So it basically means that implementing the same functionality that we have here. Your application, for example, the inventory application, at the end of the day will be able to have the reports that are needed to make it work. So when we're generating the source code of the inventory application, we'll also create some templates in relation to printing the sales, printing the products, printing the other things, so that we have a report generation going on. All right, there it is. So that is how our reporting engine, reporting manager will basically work. You'll be able to click there and you're able to generate a report based on the information that is there. And then your source code for your report will basically look something like this. And then that is it. Thank you.